Go the Rams.
Adelaide to bring it out from their own line. And met by some very willing Auckland defence. And push back a couple of metres. Kieran Wallace just goes from dubbing half to pick up Darren Doherty. Doherty, 25 metres out from his own line.
As now the Adelaide Rams make their way out onto Marathon Stadium for the first time.
Hello, and welcome to the Rampage League podcast, coming to you from our great venue sponsors, the Brew Boys Brewery down here in Croydon Park, South Australia. My name's Darren, and, well, I'm not actually sure what happened to our other host, Rolly. He's kind of missing in action, but I'm joined by someone just as qualified and an excellent person to know from NRLSA. Kelso, how are you doing, Kelso?
Good, thanks, Dan. Really, thanks for having me, mate. We'll do our best to steer the ship without Rolly, I'm sure.
Definitely. And of course, we just haven't pulled you off the street. You do have a connection to rugby league in South Australia. What's your role?
So very lucky, to be honest. Right now, I'm the current operations manager of South Australian Rugby League, or NRLSA. Spent 10 years in game development, working in the school system and with our clubs and the juniors and things like that. And I took this role and moved up, and we're enjoying it. It's a challenging role. It has its days, but I am enjoying the challenge, and it's really lucky to be in that role.
That's excellent. And I'm sure the league and rugby league in South Australia is grateful to have such a great person like yourself involved.
I think that depends on who you ask, Darren. But mostly, we have a great community, and our volunteers are outstanding. They work hard, and they're always happy to work with me. And together we do our best.
That's all we can ask for. Excellent. Now, the rugby league season in South Australia just finished in what could have only been called a great grand final. Tell us about the grand final and about the season overall.
Outstanding finish to the season. It was a really close competition. So a quick rundown before I get to the GF. So Warriors again finished minor premiers, and again second were Adelaide Plains, formerly Adelaide Brothers. Swans again finished third, and Eels crept into fourth. It was a really tight. It was only a couple of points separating first and fourth. Week one of the finals, Eels beat in the knockout. They beat Swans in the last play of the game, and had to kick a goal from the sideline after the siren to win and progress. Warriors knocked out Adelaide Plains, and we went for our fourth GF in the last 10 years between the Warriors and the Eels. And wow, the last two GFs, and this one was no different, went to extra time. And on a very windy day, 33-32 was a pretty good standard of rugby league in those conditions. And it was, for me, it was just a great contest. Two footy teams going at it, and one found a way to win.
That's excellent. Now, I've been a volunteer with NRLSA a few years ago now, and I thought it was pretty good then, but what I've heard and what I've seen, it seems to have grown even better now.
Look, that's we've always been a strong little community. We are a small community in South Australia, but our clubs are working extremely hard, with our juniors, with our governance, just trying to get everything right so we can grow and continue to offer what is an amazing game, rugby league, to everybody in South Australia.
That's excellent. And you were telling me off air that the lower grades have grown, especially in the juniors.
Look, it's been we have some real growth this year in the under 14s and under 17s age group, which have traditionally been really tough age groups for us to keep those youngsters involved. There's a lot going on for kids between 14 and 17. They start to get part-time jobs. School becomes pretty full on. So yeah, to have some growth in those areas this year was outstanding. And we just got to make sure we keep offering them rugby league and make sure they're enjoying it and they come back every year.
Definitely. And now there's been a slight change of alignment with NRLSA and a club in Melbourne. Of course, there's only one club, so that's the Storm. Would you like to tell us how that came about and how does that structure work?
Yeah, look, it was, how we operate here on the ground in SA wasn't a massive change. It was more just, so we're now, our general manager, he now manages Victoria and South Australia. So it's challenging for him. But what it's been able to do is open up pathways. So now we have direct pathways to the Melbourne Storm Juniors, which we have. We send our kids over. We've got a tour heading away soon with 12 youngsters, under 17s boys, heading over to Melbourne to play in the Cass under 17s championship, they have not the option, they have the chance to be picked up and brought into the under 18 system in the Melbourne Storm. So it's amazing for our youngsters to have that opportunity. And really, it's the first time we've had a direct pathway in South Australia since Super League days.
Well, it's great because, of course, we had the Adelaide Rams as our main team, and then when they went, it kind of people would have lost hope about playing in Adelaide at the top level. That seems to have turned around now.
Yeah, it's one of those things. People will say that you need an NRL team to grow locally, but they go hand in hand. So what we've seen in Victoria over the last 20 years is that Melbourne Storm have been a dominant rugby league team, one of the probably the most dominant in ever over the last 20 years, and but at the same time as that's been happening, the Victorian clubs, the NRL Victoria, have worked extremely hard to build that. Through COVID, nobody was hit harder than Victoria in COVID right across the world, and they pretty much lost 2 years of rugby league. In South Australia, we were really lucky to be able to play pretty much through COVID. We only missed a few weeks, but they missed 2 years, and it's amazing that they have 5,000 plus participants in their local competition over there on the back of coming back, working hard after COVID, working hard with the clubs. So for me, the community stuff and having a pathway just go hand in hand. They support each other. Young people have aspirations, and our youngsters in South Australia, both young males and young females, that have the same aspirations as the ones in Victoria. They want to play rugby league at the best level, and for the first time in a long time, it's a great relationship, and we're able to offer that to them.
Definitely. And as you just said, for young ladies coming up, we've got the NRLW competition, so both boys and girls can see a clear pathway, and well, especially young girls, they get to a point where they're not able to play in the juniors anymore, and they may want to keep going and really enjoy it. But now they can say, well, I can keep going now because, well, look at so-and-so from Melbourne Storm.
It's one of the great things that's happened in South Australia in the last few years. And this year we've seen, for the first time, we've had an under-14s competition, standalone girls, and it was amazing. So our Eels team, Adam Levi, the Roosters and their coaches have done an amazing job giving those young girls somewhere to play. Because traditionally we used to lose them after under-12s when they couldn't play together and we didn't have a competition for them. To support that, the Harvey Norman Women's Nationals is every year, and we get to send a team to that. You have to be 18 to play in that, but it's fully funded by the NRL. It's an amazing experience. It's 4 days away. There's scouts everywhere. It's an amazing time for female athletes, especially in rugby league in Australia. So we're excited to be part of that. We're excited to be offering that. We did have two young girls from our rugby league community play in the Western Australian team this year, under 18s. They went to the Nationals. So they both did outstanding jobs. And, to offer that to our young female players is so important because, for so long they had nowhere to play. And now there's an option for them to keep playing rugby league, and they're no different to anyone. They love the game.
And that's great. And that's what we want to see. We want to see the men's and women's game grow. And that starts at the juniors coming through there.
Yeah, it certainly does. And again, from a grassroots point of view, our local clubs, we're a minority sport in South Australia, and I'm sure you know that, Darren. And,
yes.
But our people and our community is just as passionate. They love the game, just as much as people in Queensland, just as much as people in New South Wales or any other state. So for me to be in a position to continue to work with our clubs and try and help grow the game, I just feel extremely lucky.
Oh, definitely. I don't blame you. That's excellent. And I know you were rattling off some of the clubs that make up the NRLSA. How many clubs and which clubs?
So look, we have 7 clubs in the Metro League. So we have Eastern Eels, we have Western District Warriors, Central District Roosters, MEC Swans, which are based in Murray Bridge. We also have the Adelaide Hills Tigers. We have South Adelaide Bulldogs, and our newest acquisition this year was Adelaide Plains, and they're based out at Roseworthy. So we're starting to reach, but that's not all we have. We also have teams in Mount Gambier and Naracoorte that play rugby league as well.
Wow.
So, there's an appetite for the game, not just here in the metropolitan Adelaide, even in our country areas. So it's challenging to support those competitions, but again, our volunteers are incredible. They work hard. Without them, the game just doesn't happen. And
No, exactly. If someone, either an adult or parents, want to get their kids into rugby league in South Australia, how would they get in contact with a club or the league?
Look, just you could jump on and look up for NRLSA website, Facebook page. Just type NRLSA in, it'll come up. You could enter in any of our clubs' names, but generally just look up rugby league or playnrl.com or playrugbyleague.com, and that'll direct you to where you need to go.
Excellent. And I'm sure yourself and the rest of the staff at NRLSA would love to see more members.
Yeah, we certainly would. What we've worked hard on for many, many years in South Australia is the rugby league in our school systems, and our game development officers over a long time, and they continue to do a fantastic job taking the game to kids in schools. So as far as sports getting exposure in schools, there's very few sports in South Australia that see as many kids as rugby league. We're one of the lucky sports that have full-time game development officers that work hard, that get the proper training, that then get to go into schools and spread the rugby league message.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're not going to let you go just yet. We're going to take a break and we'll come back and talk about the last round of the NRL. This is the Rampage League podcast.
Do you follow rugby league? Are you a passionate rugby league fan? Want to see a rugby league team in Adelaide? If you answered yes to these questions, then we want to hear from you. Here at the Rampage League podcast, we're looking for the next presenter. Someone who will bring their passion and enthusiasm to the Rampage League podcast. Someone who wants a rugby league team back in Adelaide. For more info, send an email to producer Darren at admin@ausportsonline.com.
Have you thought about promoting your business, event or product on radio? Getting your product, service on radio is easier than you think. Consider sponsoring Adelaide's only dedicated rugby league podcast on Ausports Radio. In return for your sponsorship, we offer fully voiced and produced sponsorship announcements played during the live recording and broadcast, as well as online promotion if that tickles your fancy as well. For more information, send an email to our marketing team at ausportsonline.com.
That's right. You're with the Rampage League podcast with Darren and Kelso McEwan tonight. And as we usually do, we're going to be just take a quick glance over the results from the weekend's game. And we're going to start off with the Cowboys and Storm. Of course, Cowboys with a good win there, 38-30 over the Storm. Is that a surprise?
Probably surprised when you first look at it there, Darren, but we know the Storm rest players leading into the finals, and they've chosen to rest players last week against Cowboys and still competed for what was an outstanding game. Unfortunately, I don't think the Storm will be resting players for the Broncos this weekend. But
No. And the next game was the Bulldogs versus the Sea Eagles. And I must say, being a Sea Eagles fan myself, I was very happy with this. And Kelso's wife, who's joined us up here, is quite happy also. 34-22 over the Bulldogs.
the Seagulls, while they're traditionally the team everybody hates, have been great to watch this year. They've played some outstanding rugby league, as have the Bulldogs. They've been a team that have obviously charged up the ladder this year, which they probably expected to with the signings and Gus Gould and Geraldo and all those guys. But it looked like the Bulldogs had them early, but Manly just didn't give up. And I think the biggest issue for Manly out of that was the loss of the fullback.
Yes.
Leading into the semis, they tend to be a very different team without Trbojevic.
That's it for sure. And our next game is I guess this one's not a surprise. Panthers home to the Rabbitohs, and the Panthers taking the Chocolates 34-12.
Yeah, look, poor old Rabbits are having a bit of a Broncos season, aren't they? It's been a tough year for them.
Yes.
The Panthers, 3 premierships, they're just sitting second. I think Cleary hasn't played a lot of footy. He'll probably be back. It's amazing when you sit back and you watch a team like the Panthers, and it doesn't matter who gets injured, it doesn't matter who they put in. It's just they continually turn up and get the job done. So, I don't think anyone will be writing the Panthers off this year. They could do something amazing and go 4 in a row.
They could, exactly. Sure, that's in the back of their minds. And the Eels 44 over the Dragons 40.
It was a tough one, Darren, because I did actually get to watch this, and I went away and did some gardening as well. And I couldn't believe the score. So obviously I wanted the Eels to win because I'm a Broncos supporter, and I turned it off thinking it was 40-8 or something ridiculous like that. And I thought, well, that's good. The Broncos needed that. And then I switched back on with about 15 minutes to go, and I could not believe what I was watching. Yeah, entertaining. Coach didn't look very happy afterwards, but
No.
some good footy played, and
Right. And
Dolphins and Broncos.
oh,
I did ask Darren to skip over that.
I'm sorry.
No, look, it was great for the Dolphins to win the Battle of Brisbane for the first time. I think it really exposed probably where the Broncos are at this season, and they've had a few injuries here and there. They've not hit their straps at all. Their guns have probably not been as consistent as they need to be. So this is probably a season for the Broncos that they're not very happy with. I'll be jumping on the Dolphins from here on in and hoping they make the 8. And so it'd be good to see the Dolphins continue and see Wayne Bennett get him into the 8. Let's see how they go.
It would be good if he could go out on a high note, and because he's off to Souths.
Yeah, he's going back to the Rabbits next year. So, and I mean that game there, he made a raft of changes, and as a coach making those changes, he dropped his star number 6 to the bench. Made a few other changes, and he got a response. That's what coaching is, and he did what he had to do, and the team responded, and my team didn't.
Sorry about that, but no, I'm kind of got the Dolphins as my second favourite team, so I'm hoping they go deep into the finals. And the Sharks are going down to the Warriors.
Yeah, look, another one of those great rugby league fairy tales for anyone that watched it. It was Sean Johnson's last game, being the Warriors had the bye in the final round, and the last play of the game, he comes up with a Sean Johnson pass. They score in the corner, win the game. Really good scenes. Someone like Sean Johnson that's played the highest level of touch footy, the highest level of rugby league, for his country, does countless things in the community. It was good to see someone like that. He didn't win a premiership to finish, but his final play at the top level, was a try assist. And what a great way to win a game of footy.
Oh, I totally agree there. And then we'll just move along to the Knights and the Titans, 36-14.
Yeah, look, I didn't get to see this game. The Titans have been an interesting package this year. They've played some really good footy. I mean, it only a matter of a month ago, they absolutely torched the Broncos, blew them off the park. But then sometimes they don't turn up, and I think give him another 12 months under Des Hasler. He was an extremely tough coach, and he demands, from his players that they turn up every week. I reckon they can make the 8 next year.
Right. Well, you heard it first here, right on the Rampage League podcast. And our last game of the round was the Roosters going down to the Raiders, 14-12.
Yeah, look, probably a surprise result there. But when you look at the couple of injuries that the Roosters picked up, that could be, that round could have some huge ramifications in the finals, with the Roosters sitting third currently. Losing your star number 7 and your biggest off-season recruit is not a great way to enter the finals. So I haven't heard how the hooker is and the 9, but obviously young Walker's probably finished for the year, which is they're probably lucky they've got a Luke Keary on board still. And I think looking at the table, I think it comes down for me to 3 clubs. I could be wrong, but I think it'll be Melbourne, Penrith. Obviously the Roosters will be in there. My Smokies are, and this is a big one, my Smokies are Manly. I think Manly can on their day can beat most footy teams. They'll need a couple of those days through the finals, I think.
Yes,
but they're a team that can definitely do it.
You're right. And of course, Benji Marshall's West Tigers had the bye.
That's probably a good result for them there. And look, it's the Tigers are a team that are working hard, on their culture. You can see that. Benji's a standalone coach now. It's just going to take some time, I think, to get the roster right, to implement what he wants to. I think it'll be a good thing for the Tigers. I've got a couple of mates that are long-suffering Tigers supporters.
Yep.
And I feel for them. I really do. But look, I think that given a couple of years, Benji will turn that around.
Well, I hope he does, because I do like Benji as a player and now as a coach. And so that was the weekend's at rounds. Let's take a look at the ladder and...
Up the ladder, down the ladder, one by one the ladder, up the ladder, down the ladder, one by one the ladder.
couple of teams have moved up, and the Panthers have moved up. So sitting at number one is the Storm.
It's just, if you go back through their history and you have a look at their results and the GFs they've been in, the minor premierships they've won, the final series, I don't know that they're going back through the history, obviously. The Dragons and their premierships and that amazing run that'll never be topped. I don't think there's been a more successful team in the modern era. They've just been unbelievably competitive.
Definitely. Does that say something about the Storm? Of course, they come from a state. It's a one rugby league team state competing with the AFL, and they've become this powerhouse in the NRL.
Look, I think obviously, if you look at the coaches, some coaches are so good at coaching they change the game, and Craig Bellamy's been one of those coaches. The game has changed around him for the way he's coached. They have an amazing system down there. It's a next man up. They all know their job. They know their role. And one of the amazing things about the Melbourne Storm that you find out along the way is it doesn't matter who they sign. They can sign a guy on $700,000-800,000. When they first go to Melbourne, they go to work for a week or two. They literally go to work, whether it be landscaping, whether it be bricklaying, something. They go out as a workforce just to be reminded of what it's like to be a real person. And that's sort of ethos. You can see it in the way they play. They are a team that is committed to what they do. They obviously train extremely hard. And when you consider they've been without Munster and Hughes and Pappenhausen for extended period, one of the players I've enjoyed watching play this year has been young Wishart that plays for them, which is Rob Wishart's son, former New South Wales and Australian representative. And he's been amazing. Wherever they put him, he just does his job.
That's right, exactly. And that must make everyone at NRLSA quite happy to see the Storm up high, considering with the connection that the NRLSA's got with the Storm.
So our connection's through, obviously, NRL Victoria, but look, the Storm have always been, personally, one of my second teams just because of the heavy Queensland influence, and I'm a Queenslander, and, they've had so many great players, and, even right back to when they started, John Rebo. He was, a great Queenslander, was down there. And so for me personally, I'm always keen to see how they go. Been a tough team for my Broncos to beat in the last 10 years. I don't travel to Melbourne to watch Broncos play, put it that way. So.
Right. I guess we could get back to the ladder. And so, of course, we just said Storms at number one. Panthers have come up to number two, and Roosters have slipped down into third spot. And the Sharks have also slipped down to number four. And 5, 6, and 7, they're all steady, no changes from 5 to 7. And the Dolphins come up into 8th spot.
Yeah, I need to continue to win to hold that spot. There's still a few teams that can make the 8. And Knights can still sneak in. Even the Dragons can still sneak in. The Raiders, the Broncos. I don't think that'll happen. I think that the 8 is probably set now.
Right.
But who knows? Who knows? And look, I think looking at that ladder, I can't go past the Panthers. They've had arguably the best player in the world. It's hardly played this year, and they're still sitting second. They're still winning big games. And, when you're playing those big games, and I think it was evident in our local grand final when the Eels and the Warriors played and they went to extra time. The Eels had played in a couple of those games in the back end of the season that were last-minute wins. They were wins after the siren, things like that. And when you do that on a regular basis, when you compete at that level and you start to win, in those big games, there's a belief, and it was evident in our local grand final. The Eels looked like they just had a belief in what they did. And I think you'll see that from Penrith. I think you've seen it from Penrith last year in the grand final. There was 20 minutes to go and they were probably gone.
Yes, yeah.
They weren't, unfortunately.
No, that's right. So looking at the ladder, looking at first and second, do you think first and second is set for the grand final?
I think they're definitely finishing the top two. But top four, it's very hard to win the comp outside of the top four. Those double chances, home finals. Not many teams, from memory, only one has gone on into the GF from 8th spot was Parramatta, I think. Before that, the Broncos won a premiership from 5th, but that was in the top 5. Yeah, I can't see anyone outside that top 4 winning it. However, it's all about getting on a roll at the right time.
That's it, for sure.
If you can get a couple of wins leading into the semis and you're starting to go well and the belief comes, anything's possible.
Exactly. So, ninth is up to 9th. Dragons slipped down to 10. The Raiders have slipped up to 11th. The Broncos, I know we keep harping on about the Broncos. They've slipped down to 12th. I'm sorry. Warriors have come up to 13th. The Titans slipped down to 14th. And then 15, 16 and 17, the Rabbitohs, Eels and Tigers, no movement.
Yeah, that's the battle of the wooden spoon down the bottom. The Rabbits have had a really tough season, the change of coach, and they've won some good games. Obviously, they've had players out for extended periods. And you look at position 12, position 13, that's team 2 and team 3 from 2023.
Right.
One of those
That's
teams,
right.
the Broncos are grand final team. The Warriors went to the qualifying or the game before the GF. So to see them both sitting at 12 and 13, if you'd asked me this time last year, I wouldn't have seen that.
No, exactly. Okay, we'll go to one more, our last break before we come back and just look at this up and coming round.
You're tuned into the Rampage League podcast on Ozports Radio.
When kids play rugby league, they're part of something bigger than a team.
Whoa! Cool!
They're part of a community that's safe, fair,
And fun! Play something unreal!
playrugbyleague.com.
Yes, that's right. That's what you're listening to, the Rampage League podcast. You're with Darren and Kelso McEwan tonight. And we're just going to have a look at this weekend's rounds. And the first game on Thursday night is the Broncos home to the Storm.
Yep. And I was desperately hoping that we win last weekend and Storm would rest their players, but I don't think they're going to rest them in the final round now. So
No.
Bronx have only beaten the Storm twice in the last 10 years. Unfortunately, I think that the Storm will get this one and probably get it pretty well.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm up with the Storm. And so the Friday night game is the West Tigers home to the Eels.
Battle of the Spoon, Darren. This will be often these are the great games to tune into. So
Oh, yes.
nobody wants that wooden spoon, and definitely the Eels don't. And I'm pretty sure West Tigers are sick of it. So this will be a contest, and it'll be very interesting to see how it pans out. I'm going to tip the Tigers in this one.
Right. Well, I'm going to be different. I think I'm going to go Eels. Yep. And the next game is the Rabbitohs taking on the Roosters.
Traditionally, a really good game of footy. Two arch rivals around the corner from each other. Big difference in where both teams are at the minute. I'll be interested to see how the Roosters go with their injuries. Again, they're one of those teams that's a next man up mentality, so I'm sure they'll be competitive. I'll tip the Roosters by about 10 in this one.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'll go Roosters. And then on Saturday, the afternoon game, is the Dragons taking on the Raiders.
It's going to be another great contest because both sides will be desperate for a win, because if you get a win, you'll be on the same points as the team on position 8. So if you want to be a chance of playing finals, you've got to win this game. So that'll be interesting. I think I'm a real Benny Hunt fan. I'm going to go the Dragons on this one, and I'm going to say by 2 points.
Right. I'm going to go Raiders. Yep. And the 5 o'clock game is the Bulldogs versus Cowboys.
5th v 6, another two teams that are perfectly matched for each other. Bulldogs coming off a loss. They'll be pretty keen at Accor Stadium to make sure they get a win. They're going in as favourites. I'm going to tip the Cowboys to get a rare away win in Sydney and tip them by 6.
Right. Yep. Cowboys for me too. Yep. And then it's the Panthers taking on Titans.
I can't see the Titans being competitive for the full 80 here. I think they'll be good early, but I think the Panthers will probably run out 16, 20 points in front.
Right. Yeah, Panthers for me. And then my mighty Sea Eagles take on the Sharks. It's 7th versus 4th.
Yeah, it's an interesting game at Four Pines or Brookvale, as it was previously known. You'd have to tip Sea Eagles at home. They're a different footy team when they play out of Brookie or Four Pines. So I'd go with the Sea Eagles by 2. I think it'll be a close one.
Yep, Sea Eagles for me. And then it's the Knights taking on the Dolphins.
Another two teams that are sitting right next to each other, 8th and 9th. Again, if the Dolphins win, they're pretty much in the 8, which will be an amazing achievement second year in.
Absolutely.
The Knights need to win to be any chance of making the 8.
Yep.
In the same position as the Raiders and the Broncos and the Dragons. So I'm going to tip the Dolphins to make the 8. I'm going to tip them by 4 points down there at McDonald Jones Stadium.
Yeah, Dolphins for me, and that's that's coming up around.
Certainly.
So some good matches there, and
everybody will be, leading for those teams that are playing in the finals. The ones that know they're in it. There's two trains of thought. Obviously, you don't want any injuries. However, you do want to go into the following weeks in good form. On the back of a win, getting through what you need to, so you know that when you get to the finals that you're ready to go. So it'll be an interesting round of footy, I think.
definitely. Oh, well, that's the NRL wrap up. Now, the season might be over for local SA clubs, but there's still national rep activities happening.
Yeah, so we've got our men's state team. They'll be heading over to the CAS Championships on the 26th to the 29th of September. We also have 12 of our under-17s players that will be selected, and they'll be heading over and taking part in the under-17s CAS Championships, which is a real pathway for them. So, especially for our young kids, they get an opportunity. If they're selected from the under-17s, they can then go into what we call the CAS Academy for next year, or for season 2025, and those players will get an opportunity then to play before a Melbourne Storm game and possibly get picked in the CAS under-18s team that will go to the Australian Schoolboys. So that's a real opportunity for those 12 kids. They're actually playing a final selection trial on Friday night at Hanson Reserve. So if you've got nothing to do, you can come out and watch a trial game of footy with some, about 30 kids or under-17s players will be doing their best to put their foot forward and get a selection.
And at what time would that game take off?
So that game will kick off at 6:45. It's only two 20-minute halves because it's only a trial, but the kids have been training through our RISE program for the best part of 6 months. They've been coming to our RISE Academy. They've now gone into training for the CAS. So there's some really keen kids there. And, that under-17 age group for our local competition this year there's been some really good rugby league played. And it fills me with a lot of pride to watch it, because not just about how good they play their rugby league and the way they play it, but it's the way they look after each other. They're a really tight group of kids, and they're right across all our clubs. And that they play their footy tough, but they really look after each other. And for me, that's been the highlight of my year has been watching the under-17s boys and the under-14s girls. They've been really good age groups, and they've done an outstanding job representing rugby league this year.
Oh, that's excellent. I guess for someone who doesn't see inside the league in South Australia, they might only think, there's only their clubs and they play every weekend. There's just so much more going on as what we've just been talking about during the season and now after the season. It's good to see that it keeps going.
Yeah, there's a lot of work from our clubs in first. There's a lot of work from our league, our game development officers, our state representative coaches, our RISE coaches, and they all work together the best they can. And it's all really about two things. It's about giving people the opportunity to be involved in rugby league, which we think is one of the most. I think it's the greatest game on the planet for all.
Yep.
And it's about giving people an opportunity to follow their dreams. It's not just about playing in the NRL, where people want to do that, which is great, but following those pathways, trying to achieve something like that can literally change a young person's life, And I mean, I know how it changed mine as a 16, 17, 18-year-old to be involved at that level, and what it's done for me in the workforce and things like that, and just the things I've learned along the way, and not just about working for the NRL now and having an opportunity to put back into a community that gave me so much as a player. So it's exciting to be involved in that stuff, and I cannot speak highly enough of our small volunteer base, our club-based people that just, are tireless in their.
Definitely. Do you ever get to rest? You always seem to be so busy.
Yeah, I do. I do get a little bit of rest. I'm one of those people that get up at a really ridiculous time in the morning, like 4 a.m. I love doing my exercise and stuff, but that's I do get a little bit of rest here and there. But when you work in something you love, the old saying is pick a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. So I don't know if that's true, but
Yep.
it does help.
I like the reaction we got from Kelso's wife when we asked him, does he get any rest?
And look, the Sunday just gone, Father's Day. It was the first Sunday this season I've had off, and it was I didn't struggle to fill the day. I had a great day at home with the family, and
That's
it
excellent.
was just it was nice waking up Monday morning feeling fresh, and yeah, it's but in a matter of 3 weeks I'll miss it, and I'll be desperate to get it back. And like all rugby league people, it's always great when it's finished for about 2 weeks, and then you're like, when are we going to go again?
Definitely. Well, I don't think the league could be in safer hands, yourself and the great staff at NRLSA. It's great to see the game growing, and yeah, it's exciting. I've had a great talking to you and just finding out a little bit more and knowing that the things are always happening at the league.
Yeah, look, it's always great to have an opportunity to come and speak with you, Darren, and to be in such a good little venue as the Brew Boys down here. I've not been here before, but it's outstanding. And yeah, just thanks for having us on, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to spread the rugby league gospel.
Not a problem. No, we've had been great to have you on, and we hopefully we can grab you a few more times during the 2025 season.
Definitely, mate. Just let me know when you want me, and I'll be here.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Jackie, for coming along. Welcome. It's been the Rampage League podcast. Darren, thanks for listening to the podcast. And don't forget, you can grab it on Spotify and all other great podcast platforms. Till next week, we'll catch you later.
Go the Rams.
Adelaide to bring it out from their own line. And met by some very willing Auckland defence. And push back a couple of metres. Kieran Walters just goes from dubbing half to pick up Darren Doherty. 25 metres out from his own line.
As now the Adelaide Rams make their way out onto Marathon Stadium for the first time.
Welcome